Hey, this is Jerry Fetta, owner, founder, and CEO of Wealth Dynamics, and this is our Wealth Building Wednesday. So we redirected these videos a bit, right? When I first did this, I was like, man, let's talk about, big thinking wealth strategies and, stuff that's really gonna get people excited. And then I thought about, well, what am I doing right now? Okay, right now I'm building my own wealth, and you should be too. And so, if you've paid attention to any of my content in the last, week or two, you've seen my new book release, okay, The Man in the Arena. And you're probably aware of my story that I went from being, a 30-year-old multimillionaire that was this close to being financially independent to basically having to rebuild from the ground up. Okay, and so I think that's a great story. Although it sucks, it's painful, all that. Yep, I get it. You've been through tough times too. I want to give you guys an inside look on what I'm doing and just a lot of transparency on what I'm going through and what each week is looking like for me. So, from the beginning of this whole thing, I'm probably 6 months into it, right? September, October, November, December, January, February, March, about 6 months in, right? So I've had 6 months of, I would say free falling for a while. Like things got worse, as you probably read in the book. If you haven't read the book, like that's a great place to start so you understand my story and what my mission and purpose is right now with this rebuild. But I kind of went through this free fall of like, I thought it was the bottom and then it wasn't, and what it wasn't, it wasn't. It finally was, right? And I was able to start rebuilding. Okay, so for me, the very first step of my rebuild, and I covered this in the book, was getting mentally focused, like confronting the fact that, okay, yeah, I'm rebuilding right now. Okay, and I'm okay with that because, for me, I had to realize that I'm not rebuilding, I'm just building, right? I don't re-eat, like I just eat. I don't re-sleep, I just sleep. I don't re-shower, I just shower, right? There's certain things you just do all the time, and building wealth in your future is one of those things you're just always gonna do. Right? Sometimes you're in a better condition than before, just like sometimes when I eat, I'm hungrier than I was last time. It doesn't negate the fact that I'm not redoing it, I'm doing it in a new unit of time. Right? So when I confronted that, then I had to look at, okay, do I have the right team? Okay, and if you're rebuilding right now, like this is so important, whether it's a business, whether it's your friends, whether it's the person you're getting your financial advice from, do I have the right team? Do I have the right people surrounding me? Okay, there's two levels to this that I looked at. So for me, I had to look at, like, obviously my situation, my condition is 100% my own responsibility. I can't blame this on anybody, right? And I'm not gonna try to, because that's a victim, and I don't believe in victimhood. Victims have things happen to them and they blame other people and circumstances for their current condition. Okay, a victor, someone that wins, they take charge, right? So I had to look at this and say, I'm gonna take full responsibility for what happens. Okay, but also I'm gonna look at, like, if I had the right people on my team, I would have had some blind spots pointed out, right? I would have had some people confronting me early and saying, hey, this smells weird. What's going on? Like, let's handle it. Okay, and so I had people in my life that weren't willing to tell me what I needed to hear when I needed to hear it. And that was something I actually knew. And the reason I knew that is at the time, around, maybe 8 months ago, 10 months ago, I had someone come into my life that was willing to do that for the first time. They didn't care what I thought. They were going to tell me the truth. Whether that meant they were, in trouble with me or not, they wanted me to know the truth, and they wanted to be honest. And I realized I didn't have anyone else in my life like that, right? So on the tail end of this, if I had more people in my life that were like, hey, like this is the ugly truth, but you need to confront the beast. Here's what I think is happening, and here's what you need to be looking at. Even if it wasn't what I wanted to hear, it was what I needed to hear. Okay, so I want you to, in your life as well, look at, do I have the right people? Do I have people that are willing to, like, it's a funny example, but if your pants are unzipped and you're in public, are your friends too embarrassed to tell you, dude, your fly is undone? Right? Or do they care enough to be like, hey, your fly is undone? They don't care you're gonna be embarrassed for 3 seconds and that, you might feel like weird about it. You're gonna be weird if your pants are hanging down, right? Right? If your Peter's dragging and you don't know it, like someone should actually tell you. So that's an important part for me. The second thing I did is I started to rebuild my foundation. Okay, this was not like initially it was activity. Okay, so rebuild the foundation, like people think, okay, I'm gonna let the dust settle and I'm gonna organize and no, like rebuilding a foundation, if you've ever built the foundation, the first step is digging a hole. Okay, like that's the hardest part, is digging this giant hole. So I started working, right? And I worked more than I did. If you were, paying attention to my life at the time, if you were close to me, you saw me working 80, 90 hours a week. Okay, putting in 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? And that was just life for a few months for me. I wasn't a fun person to be around. I wasn't focused on anything but that, right? And then once I had, like some stability and I gained some traction from that work, then I could take a step back and say, okay, cool. I created all this work. Where do I need to reorganize things? Right now, the reorganize is big, right? Like I talk about in my book, you have to reorganize so that you obviously stop doing the thing that caused what is happening now, but also reorganize so that it doesn't repeat again in the future. You don't go from, the frying pan to the fire because you left one bad circumstance, didn't organize well enough and get into another one. Okay. So my progress right now, like the main thing I'm focusing on is improving the service experience for my company and also increasing our sales team. Right, we're increasing, we have our endorsed wealth mentor program right now. We've got several really good licensed agents, like life insurance agents that are also winning and active clients of ours that are coming in, and we're actually like this created a new leg of our business, an entire new department called endorsed wealth mentors, people that I'm giving my personal endorsement to, I'm training, they're working with our clients, they're working with our leads, and it's been great. Like that's something that's allowed us to scale. So out of this crazy situation came a solution that probably will take Wealth Dynamics to the next level altogether. And that's our endorsed wealth mentor program. Okay. That's been a big thing. And then also reworking our delivery. So yesterday I spent probably, 8-10 hours writing an 8,000 word handbook for our clients, right? Like what do people need to know when they come on board with my company so that they have a good experience? Right? Like a bad experience, like you come in, you invest and you lose a bunch of money. That's not a good experience. A good experience is you sign up for a thing that you want and need. Okay. You actually get the thing that you want and need. You get educated on it so you can use it and enjoy it. And then you're actually like taken through a process to make sure that it was good. And then you're given, whatever your next step would be. Right? Think of going to a fine dining establishment. Like imagine walking into the door of a restaurant, never being greeted. No one said a word to you. Right? We all feel weird when that happens. You come in, right? And you're like, right? And you're like, do I seat myself? Do I wait for someone? What do I do? Right? You want to be greeted right away. So I've been working on that in my company. The other thing too is, being shown to a table right away. No one likes to wait. No one likes to wait to take delivery of what they paid for. So we've been working on improving our speed of service. If we're a restaurant, how do we seat you immediately? Right? No wait, no lag. We greet you as soon as you walk in. We orient you with the restaurant. We seat you immediately. Right? And then we start bringing you the menu. Like, here's what you're ordering. We get the food out as fast as we can. It's good. It's perfect. Like, that's kind of what we're looking at. Right? So that's been a big part of what I've been working on. I also did publish my book the week before. So, I've taken my experience with this and really started looking at like, what can I do to build with this? How do I take something that's a hardship and has a lot of loss attached to it and turn it into something for good? Okay. So I talk all the time about the triangle of wealth. And so right now for me, my focus is earning more income. Okay, I had to start my business over from the beginning again, right? I lost a lot of passive income from investments. And so I'm working on delivering services, selling services, improving our branding, communicating more clearly our offer, making sure that our products and services are exactly what's wanted and needed by our clientele. It's profitable for the company so that my income can start to build, because I understand what I teach is you need the active income to earn it, so that you can save it, so that you can invest, right? And that investment right now for me is my own personal development. Okay, it's back into my company with my marketing, my branding, hiring staff, training staff, back into my business. And it's going to be a little bit before I start getting back into assets. Okay, assets being things like, real estate investing. Okay, now on this topic, like one of the things that I did is I had to immediately look at what worked and what didn't. So one thing that worked really well for me was the sacred account. Okay, it's one of the only things I didn't lose, right? And luckily I've been plowing so much into it because that's what kept me afloat for quite some time in my company. Even now as we're stabilizing, like that's been a foundational thing for us to have that sacred account. Okay, so my investments, my assets, my companies, those all took a hit. The sacred account didn't, and it still made money. And that's the exact thing we teach our clients is it's never gonna lose and it's always gonna gain. And so during the hardest time of my life, by far, it was there for me as something that was stable. And so I'm doubling down on that myself. Okay. One thing that didn't work was investing in other people's funds, right? F-U-N-D, a fund, an investment fund, right? So putting money into someone else's fund, when I really looked at it, I don't have control over that. I don't have transparency on what they're doing. It's investing in someone else's business, right? That's actually, when you study that, that's a form of venture capitalism. Venture capitalism is something you do when you're already wealthy. It's not something you do to get wealthy, right? To get wealthy, you invest in things that you like, you understand, you control, that fit you, that fit your goals and purposes, that aren't overpriced and that are vital to humanity, so people are always gonna want and need them. Okay, so when I get back into investing, I'm gonna be focusing on three main things. I'm gonna be focusing on, for assets as far as those are concerned, I'm gonna be focusing on gold leasing. Okay, that's physically owning gold. That's gonna pay me passive income. I have control over it. It's like I have gold there. It pays me every month and it appreciates. Okay, I'm gonna be investing in turnkey rental properties. Okay, completely outsourced management, and that's gonna give me passive income appreciation, debt pay down, and it's gonna stay in a position where I don't need to get involved in the day-to-day, and I control the property. That's my house that someone lives in. And then seller finance real estate as well, right? Being the mortgage on an actual property where I own and control it as well. So that's a bit of an update on my progress. We will be back again next Wednesday with another update. If you're making progress as well, if you're in the arena, I want you to post, use the tag in the arena, tag me on it. I would love to see what you're up to.